Hey gamers, welcome to the PTGC podcast. My name is Gerard, and with me are my co-hosts, Gio and Mike, even though Mike looks like he's in prison. Today's episode is about Mike's favorite game, Blizzard's own World of Warcraft. I know we've talked about it multiple times on the podcast, and we thought we should give it some light and its episode of its own. But Encounter just came out. Mike has been playing it nonstop.
Actually, I've been no-lifing it.
Yeah, Mike, tell us, how are you enjoying Kata, and how many hours of sleep have you lost?
I don't say lost. Maybe it's going. I don't think I played a lot of Kata when it originally came out, so this is like sort of new to me ish. I think when I started in stopping, I was actually in basic training, so I didn't really get to play because that takes priority. But otherwise, playing it now, it's definitely a grind. So you gotta grind the 5 levels, going through zones, knowing where to go, and grinding the rep, grinding the pre-raid biz because Blizzard released a schedule, I guess. So Kata is gonna be like 6 months, so they're gonna go to the different phases. So I feel like it feels like it's being rushed, but that's another opinion. Yeah, I've been no life in Kata Classic right now. I've been grinding the rep, been losing, been staying up. Let's just say, thankfully they released it. I'm gonna say thankfully they released, but it's a good thing or bad thing depending if you have plans. But the 3-day weekend. I spent like a whole weekend on WoW right now, so I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing.
So to bring back my question, are you not enjoying it, or you are enjoying it?
I know, right? You didn't really say.
This sounds like the League of Legends curse. Like, we play the game, but we sound like we're not enjoying the game while we're playing it.
I'm enjoying it now. I would say that. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying, but at this point where I'm at now,
Can't make
got released last week, Monday. I already got to 85, got most of my reps done, got my pre-raid biz ready for when raids are open next week, Thursday. So now I'm like kind of like, I
hitting lows. Yeah, you're hitting the lows.
Get my sleep in, and maybe start playing other games that I want to play
until raids open.
Yeah, the raid is open. But I've been helping my guild that that I'm in, and I'm the healer, so I try to help get them up to speed because some people don't play as much because of outside factors, and I'm just fortunate to have taken Friday off, not because of this game. I want to preface that.
No,
I had plans
because nope.
A real gamer says it's for the game.
I took off for Dawn Trail for Final Fantasy. I'll say it.
No, I mean, I'm not ashamed I took it off. I would have took it off Monday, Tuesday when it got released, but no, I had plans. It fell through, and I just decided that screw it. I'll just keep my PTO and just play WoW and get myself up to date. So, yes, I am enjoying it right now.
That's good.
I guess the thing I want to ask you is, what do you notice them doing differently, or what has been done differently from the original Cataclysm?
He said he had not played the original Kata because he was in basic.
I can kind of talk because they've learned, because there are things where when they release stuff and then when they kind of like didn't. There's like same thing when they did in Rev. They released certain things at a certain time point when they had originally released previously in the original. So there's things, minor changes where like it's maybe quality of life changes where it may help now because there's no point of holding things back because this game has been out. People that's playing now usually has played original when it came out when they were kids. So there's minor changes where like they incorporate things where it would have been in a later phase. They just bring it in this phase, current phase, just because it didn't affect the game. So there are differences, and and usually it's just depending on the patch. But there are differences between the original and then the classic.
Oh,
The
they're
same,
not.
but just like in timing.
So you're saying that basically, I mean, and it's kind of like you said, they're not, I guess, slowing down progression or trying to slow down how fast you go through the DLC because you've already played the DLC. They probably kind of just get you
Yeah,
to the
because
good parts kind of deal, like cut out the excess kind of stuff almost.
yeah, there's there's like in the original there were like nerfs, they were
Hmm.
nerf bosses at a certain point, and it took longer maybe in the original, but and classic they might have brought it in a different timing of sooner than it's just depending on what patch they want to bring out, and it's just the timing of everything really is that's what's to change it. That's the only change. The game itself, it's same, same mechanics, same fight, same, you know.
Hmm.
It's just people have found ways to kind of like better ways since they've seen it before, where they get like the speed clearing guilds where they just find ways to just keep going, fight boss, and there's records. You see it on websites like first yada yada yada. Like somebody got to 85 in 3 hours, and like what they did was I don't know, start farming some dungeon, and that gave them like 1.5 million. Like you never would have thought of that when the original came out, but
Yeah.
things now that you just do, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and I
People,
think. Oh, I was gonna say. I think that is the advantage of knowing the game now, before, because the Kata One, I'm gonna call Kata One the old Kata, or Cataclysm. Kata One, people were still kind of learning the game. Like, this was like, I think Kata One, or excuse me, Wrath came out 2007. Kata came out 2 years later, right? Around 2009.
wait. No, Cataclysm came out in 2010. Before that was Wrath of the Lich King, which was 2008.
Okay.
BC was
So
2007.
yeah, so the
So,
game, the like WoW came out 2005 or six, right? 2000.
End of 2004. It was like
So like 2005.
like October or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically 2005.
2005. So they've only been playing the game for like roughly 5 years, right? And every time they bring out something completely new. So people are just learning the game still when Kata came out, and you only have an entire expansion to know the game. Kata 2, people have been playing this game since their childhood. They know the game in and out. They've played probably Kata 1, so not only do they know what is going to come out, what materials are going to come out, what things are going to be needed, but they've also played the game long enough that they've seen the cycles, the boons, the peaks, and everything like that. Like, oh, I know because people tend to get raid gear. Now I should be preparing to get all the stuff that raid gear, all the mats, and know what dungeons drop them now. I know I need to do those as quick as possible. Or in the example of that guy who got 85 at level 3, he knows that dungeon is the most efficient way to get XP. And efficient means he knows that it's quick enough and it gives a lot of XP. Those are the two things that come down to speed XP farming.
I also want to add that like back then it wasn't really like a lot of social aspect of outside the game, right? Streamers and all that stuff, with more information to spread. It's more accessible now to find things out like this from other gamers who may have close connections to the good developers. Who knows? That's how they probably got this from. So I think it's just times have changed for sure in terms of when this game came out. And WoW is just milking it now because Kata is, they say Kata was one of the best raids. Not the first phase, but at least like the future phases of the raids was one of the best raids. But I don't know. I haven't got too much.
So how can I say?
Do you want some time to think about your question? I have a question that
Go
I
ahead.
want to bring up. So we've been talking about new kata, and new kata for the audience is specifically something new that has came out for WoW Classic, which is just I don't want to say reintroducing, but basically recreating that old environment that when WoW originally came out with just like modern updates. But that isn't where WoW is now. We have retail WoW, which is has new expansions and a completely different game. And I know we talked about this before, but I wanted to ask on the podcast now what the difference is between retail and classic, and whether the pros and cons for both.
I'll be honest. I have not touched retail.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not talking about like game wise, but I'm like, all right, so for retail, you got to buy the expansion. I consider that a con, because not only do you need the base game, but you need to have all the expansions up to it to get to the latest expansion and buy that latest expansion as well. Recently, I'm pretty sure Blizzard does it because Final Fantasy does, or Square Enix does it, where like you can buy a bundle deal that includes base game and all the expansions, and then buy the expansion separately. If you buy those two things, you get basically everything. But that's still technically like buying two different games, and then on top of that, paying for the subscription. I'm assuming retail Blizzard probably doing the exact same thing.
Blizzard for retail, you have to buy the expansion. Right?
Yeah, and then and the base game
on top of the monthly subscription. Yeah. That doesn't apply to Classic. Classic comes with this as just a subscription, because I think they feel like, well, they played this game already. Why we're gonna have them buy the game? Kind of like we buy the game again.
And so that's probably why. But you don't need the base game for Classic. You just buy the subscription.
Yep, you just buy the subscription. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need the base retail game to play Classic. And you don't have to buy a base version for Classic.
And that I would consider that a pro for Classic. But I would also say the con for Classic, and it goes with something I said before, and I don't know if Mike is thinking about this, but like people are playing Classic mostly out of nostalgia, and people who have never played anything like back in Classic, if they never played like Kata or Wrath or BC, they are at a disadvantage against people who have played it already, because they already know, and they're coming into it a new experience. And unless you are a social butterfly or have a guild who's going to help you, you are already at a disadvantage on both gear and leveling.
But that's, I mean, bro, to be honest though, there was disadvantages even when we first started playing the game. Like, it wasn't easy to get into guilds, and if you didn't play with big groups of people like that, or new people that were into those type of games, until you started playing and networking in the game, you were at a disadvantage. And like I said,
the game late. You're at
yeah. Like, I didn't start at release. I started in, I want to say, maybe May, June of 2005. So the game had been out for a little while already. And that's when I started getting into it. So, and then even then I grinded slowly. I didn't play heavy like that in the beginning. So yeah, it took time. The shit was not easy, bro.
I think I
you're always at a disadvantage with people that know the game, and people that are just getting into the game. And I do agree that most of the majority is nostalgic people that's playing that, but there's also new people that's new because of what they know or what they heard from their parents or from people that's played, so they are curious about it, so they play it. And then you're always going to be at disadvantage. It's just you or what you want to take out of the game, and the motivation that you have to if you want to go end game content. There's multiple avenues that you can go to. You could try to find a guild, whether they are semi-casual, hardcore, or whatever the case may be. And knowing that hardcore, you gotta be accountable for your character and know your character, kind of like, and gem them correctly and enchant them correctly. but like you just it's just what your drive is and what you want at the game. Because people just want to do PvP sometimes. People like to PvP. And Kata, I hear that PvP was a huge thing in Kata. I was never a PvP type of person, so not I was not for sure. But like, it's just what you want from the game. And there's different paths that you can go take if you want that path. Like there's a GDKP route for guilds. Or you go on find a guild that's progression, or you want to find a guild that just wants to clear it, speed clear it now. There's many guilds that's out there. I think you just gotta search and be motivated to search for it. And if you don't, anytime you will find what you want if you're really looking for it. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I just wanted to touch on what Gerard was saying about the old content, nostalgia, and stuff like that. I think one of the good things about the WoW community, though, is that when Classic was coming out and everybody was talking about it and everybody's talking about vanilla, if you've been a part of the World of Warcraft community or know anything about it, you know that us, the original players, and anybody that was playing throughout the DLCs would always refer back to vanilla. That was like the golden era of WoW. So like, I think the hype for that kind of made people that didn't start in vanilla days, that started maybe a few DLCs later, want to try it and see what it was all about. Granted, they didn't know the story like you said, so they were at a disadvantage. They still knew how to play WoW, though. They still knew the basis of WoW because they were WoW players. They didn't know how much different it was back then compared to what they play now or what they started. If they started at Wrath of Lich King or Cataclysm, wherever they started at, it's kind of nice to go back and see how it played and felt when it originally came out and what we talk about and that some people didn't get to experience.
I do wish more MMOs would do that kind of versioning where like a server could be set to a specific expansion so that you can go back and experience it. Or having a rotating server. Like you have the majority of the servers are the latest, and then one server is a rotating server, just like this one server, if you want to experience this expansion, you can get on it, and then like 3 months from now, it's going to be this new expansion. You can redo that if you want to re-level a character, and it just like switches. So like people who are like, oh, I've never played that expansion, I want to go try it. Or, man, I really love that expansion. Let me go re-level a character through that expansion. And I do think if it's rotating, it adds just enough, like spicy, I'm trying to say the word variety, to the game where like I'll play latest expansion, but if I'm feeling like I want to do something different, anything like that, I could go onto the server just for a bit, make a character. But I again wish more MMOs would do that. But I wanted to bring up one thing, and that is saying what you mentioned is like, oh, I played during Kata and I want to go back to Classic and things like that. And I would say I'm pretty sure eventually those people who hit Kata is like, this is great, I've been playing since then. The next expansion after Kata is Warlords or Draenor, which from what I've heard is
no. The next one is the Pandaria.
Oh, Mr. Pandaria. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Pandaria. Yeah. Mr. Pandaria was when every WoW player rolled their eyes, and that the downfall of WoW, or at least the plummet of WoW, started. And if what Mike said is true, that means in 6 months we get Mr. Pandaria again. And I don't think Classic players are looking forward to that. So my question is, do you think Classic will survive expansions like Mr. Pandaria if it does like not plummet or tank? Survive expansions that are not fun. or that were received poorly?
I mean, if it received poorly, it's a free game.
It's
You're
not
paying
free.
on
You're paying a subscription, and if you're paying for a subscription for something you don't want to play or don't like, you're gonna stop playing.
You're
And
gonna
if
cancel.
if enough people cancel, they might just cut Classic.
Maybe,
That's why I'm
they have
saying.
but they have to test it out because there's still new players. It's not like it's all old players. It's there's new. There's still new players, and from talk with my guild, there is still interest in continuing to play after Kata. I will definitely stop playing after Kata because I just need to stop playing WoW.
Lies.
I just want WoW too.
My thoughts are. Oh yeah, that's another conversation we can have. But like it does stand for my question. It was like, when does Classic end if it does catch up, or when does WoW end as a whole, both retail and Classic? So my thoughts are like Classic might end if not enough interest, but retail WoW could end on a good note or just continue forever. I know Geo wants it to end so that they can release WoW 2.
Yeah, I feel like there's just so many expansions you can do at this point. It's just like, dude, just start fresh. Start a new concept. Start a new World of Warcraft, like an alternate universe. You know what I mean?
Or
Come up with a
a
different.
large jump in the future.
Yeah. Something. Just switch it up already. Like let WoW go. It had its time. 20 years. I don't think there's any game that we can say for 20 years online that's as successful as WoW. There's just no other game.
Well, why stop it if there's still?
Because it's not at its peak anymore. It's not on the incline. It's never going to be back to what it was. So why not try to do something again that's groundbreaking? You know what I mean?
It doesn't need to be groundbreaking. There's so many limitations that WoW has because it is an old game. It is an old game. It shows its age. Just because you like it, there is a certain point where eventually you'll stop getting new, like, young players because it is fundamentally an old game. Eventually you will stop getting new players. And the question is, do you leave the servers up for old players and let it just run its course and make expansion after expansion, which is just going to make it even harder for new players to get into because they have to do every single expansion to catch up, or at least every main mechanic of expansion.
Character boosts.
That's money. You have to pay money for it.
Let me
Dark
finish.
patterns.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Because you didn't let me finish. I only gave one option. I didn't get the other options.
Give me all the options.
There's multiple heirlooms that you could purchase in game, not money. Gold. And there's Joy's Journeys, which increase experience by 50. Like I could level 1 through 80 if I play an enormous schedule in like 2-3 days.
Okay. Are you done with the options?
Yeah. Is there any more?
I'm asking so that I can hit every point.
You saying you gotta do one through? It's faster leveling now. There's ways to get to 80 or to 85 pretty fast now.
Like that's why I hate retail. That's why I'm like, just start over. Start over. Give us a game that's a grind again. Give us a game that's different.
Why do I have to grind levels as a new player? But by the way, they have to look it up because if you're a new player and you never played WoW before, you need to know how to do that. Otherwise, you ain't leveling to 85 in 3 days. So either you need a social group that you need to talk to, or you need to have looked up research for it.
What I would say about
and
WoW,
then
though,
still need to grind 3 days to catch up.
WoW is such an old game, though, Gerard, that you're more than likely going to start playing it because you know people that play it. It's not one of the new games that are really pushed and marketed like that anymore.
Yeah, and that's
So
the problem that it has.
No, but and I agree, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's already stopped generating like the new like.
Young
Yeah, they
players.
get new players. They get
Young
younger
players are not joining.
players, but
Yeah.
not at the rate you would want it to be. It's not at its peak anymore. It's way past that at this point. That's why I'm like, it's time to create another version of it. Come up with ideas that they never got to put in WoW. They could start fresh. They have the technology advancements now compared to back then. Like, I think it's just time. It's time to let it go.
Yeah, I think a lot of also veterans and elites. This is more of me watching YouTube videos, so take this with a grain of salt. These aren't like people I actually know, but like some majority of the WoW or MMO enthusiasts that I watch, that played WoW, have said or stopped playing WoW that they would like some new would drop or would play WoW 2 if it would have came out, because WoW 1 has a lot of basically bad mechanics that they just are really hardwired into the game. Example is the rep grinding. Like, rep grinding is not necessary, but you need to do the rep grinding in WoW every time. So take that with a grain of salt, because again, as I said, these are just from people that I heard that play the game. I can't exactly give my own experiences.
Yeah, it's the ideas. Some of the ideas and the concepts are just outdated at this point. It's just they just got to do a new game. That's it.
All right. With that, that is the end of our conversation. I'm pretty sure. WoW. I'm not gonna say definitely. WoW is a good game. If it wasn't a good game, it wouldn't be as popular as it is. Am I still gonna play Final Fantasy 14 over WoW? Yes. Will I try WoW 2 if it comes out? Maybe. It is up. If it depends if they like update the graphics. The one turnoff I have against WoW is the graphics. If they don't do anything with the graphics, I'm not gonna fucking play it.
Well, I hope they do too, because I don't want to feel like I'm playing the same game again.
Any sign-offs that you guys have?
Yeah, we want WoW 2.
There you go.
There's
your sign-off.
Kata, okay? I love Kata.
No,
Leave Kata alone.
I'm not.
No, we're not talking about Kata.
No, Kata. Classic can stay. All right. If Classic stays at Kata, you'll be all yours. You can keep it forever. All right?
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
Keep them servers up.
Yeah, that's it from us, guys. Our gamers. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.